The dim light cast long shadows across the table. A solitary figure, Jimbo, sat hunched over his prize. His eyes, two burning coals in the darkness, were fixed on the burger before him. A Big Mac. Wrapped in its familiar paper coffin, it promised a familiar comfort, a fleeting escape. Tonight, the ritual was different. Tonight, the air hung heavy with anticipation, a knot of tension tightening in Jimbo's gut. Jimbo's hands, rough and calloused, trembled as he unwrapped the burger. The scent of sesame seeds, pickles, and onions wafted up, a siren song to his senses. He inhaled deeply, the aroma stirring up a mixture of anticipation and dread. This wasn't just a meal, it was a confrontation, a battle with his own desires. He stared at the burger, its layers a testament to American excess. 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. The formula was simple, iconic, and for Jimbo, it held a strange power. It was a symbol of his past, a reminder of simpler times, and a crutch in the face of present anxieties. The weight of the burger in his hand was reassuring, familiar. He felt the soft, yielding bun, the slickness of the special sauce. His mouth watered, his stomach growled, a primal urge rising within him. This was more than just hunger. It was a craving for something he couldn't quite name, a void he hoped to fill with every bite. The Big Mac held a promise of satisfaction, of temporary oblivion. It was a portal to a time when things seemed simpler, when worries were few, and happiness came in a cardboard box. Jimbo clung to this promise, desperately seeking solace in its greasy embrace. Each bite was a ritual, a carefully orchestrated act of consumption. He savored the tang of the sauce, the crunch of the lettuce, the salty burst of the pickles. The flavors were a symphony on his tongue, a temporary escape from the cacophony of his thoughts. But the pleasure was always fleeting. The emptiness returned with a vengeance, leaving him hollow and wanting more. The Big Mac, once a symbol of comfort, now mocked him with its inadequacy. It was a temporary fix, a band-aid on a gaping wound. The more he ate, the more he craved. The cycle was endless, a spiral of desire and disappointment. The Big Mac was a siren, luring him closer with its seductive aroma, only to dash him against the rocks of his own despair. It was a cruel joke, a reminder of his powerlessness. He sank his teeth into the burger, feeling the resistance of the bread, the yielding of the meat. A surge of pleasure, primal and immediate, shot through him. For a moment, the world narrowed to the taste in his mouth, the sensation in his gut, but the pleasure was quickly overtaken by a wave of guilt, a feeling of self-disgust. He knew this craving was unhealthy, a symptom of a deeper malaise, yet he couldn't resist. The Big Mac was his drug, his escape, his curse. He chewed slowly, each bite a mixture of pleasure and pain. The flavors were still there, but they were dulled, muted by his own internal turmoil. He could feel the grease coating his tongue, the weight of the burger settling in his stomach. The joy was gone. The escape was a mirage. He was left with a feeling of emptiness, of being lost in a maze of his own making. The Big Mac, once a symbol of comfort, was now a monument to his own failings. Jimbo felt a familiar sinking feeling, a descent into the dark recesses of his own psyche. The burger, half eaten, sat on the table, a silent witness to his internal struggle. It was a mirror reflecting his own fragmented self. He thought about his life, the choices he'd made, the paths he'd chosen. A sense of regret washed over him, a bitter tide eroding the shores of his soul. The Big Mac, a symbol of fleeting pleasure, now represented his inability to escape his past. He saw himself in the greasy sheen of the burger, in the limp lettuce, the processed cheese. He was a product of this world, a cog in the machine of mass consumption. He was lost, adrift in a sea of artificial flavors and empty promises. The Big Mac was a metaphor for his life. He consumed, he craved, he was never satisfied. He was trapped in a cycle of desire and disappointment, a slave to his own cravings. He was a prisoner in his own body, a prisoner of his own mind. A wave of nausea washed over Jimbo. It wasn't just the greasy burger, it was the weight of his own despair. He pushed the Big Mac away, the sight of it now repulsive. The ritual was broken. The spell was shattered. He saw the burger for what it truly was, a symbol of his own weakness, a testament to his inability to break free from the shackles of his past. It was a crutch, a temporary escape from the harsh realities of his life. He needed to change. He needed to confront his demons to find a way out of this self-destructive spiral. The Big Mac was a wake-up call, a jarring reminder of his own mortality. He stood up, his legs shaky, his mind reeling. He felt a surge of determination, a flicker of hope in the darkness. He would fight this. He would break free. The Big Mac lay abandoned on the table, a discarded symbol of Jimbo's former life. He walked away, leaving behind the remnants of his ritual, the ghosts of his past. The air felt lighter, the shadows less oppressive. He stepped out into the night, the cool air, a welcome change from the stifling atmosphere of the room. He looked up at the stars, a million pinpricks of light in the vast expanse of the cosmos. He felt a sense of liberation, a newfound clarity. The Big Mac, once a source of comfort, was now a distant memory, a reminder of a path he had chosen to leave behind. He had a long way to go, but for the first time in a long time, he felt a glimmer of hope. He was free.